family, it's Tasha, Mama Bear Prepping. Welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. You already know what time it is, baby. Get your drink, pull up. Let's talk about it. So today we're going to talk about, see, this is what happens when you go in the garden early in the morning. My fingernails are already trash. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to share, I don't know if they're secrets or kind of like tips, secrets, but this is food items. I'm going to give you 7. Really, number 7 is 2, 7, and 8. So 7 to 8 food items that I think are just above and beyond genius. And I think once I start, you're going to understand why these are some of my favorites. These are my favorites in regards to their versatility, how easy, the versatility, how easy they are, how long they last, how their ability to just be ate in their state, right, and not having to be cooked and all these things. And so and just survival and keeping your belly full, right, in a short period of time with a little bit of food, right? We talk about all these things on these channels, rice, beans, and you got to get this, you got to get Spam, and you got to get all this stuff. But these are some of my favorite go-to fill your belly type foods. And some of them might be snacks, considered snacks to you. I'm not sure. But if you were patrolling, if you were just out and about, if you were stuck in a bunker or stuck in a room, stuck in the house, couldn't cook, right? Couldn't even have a camping stove, right? What are some things that could keep the bellies full, and keep you kind of going? And so these are my items, you guys. So number 1 thing that is a big favorite of mine is protein shakes. Huge, huge, huge. Obviously is protein, obviously is filling, doesn't take a lot, doesn't take any more than a water that you would drink anyway, right? And so it's super, super filling, lots of flavors that you can get, keeps for a long time. Very, very important if you're, you know, fasting and then want to come on to something. If you're in a situation where you can't heat stuff up, can't heat water up, can't do different things, you just add this, boom, shake it up, you've got it, and you're good to go, right? And it's going to be filling, and it's going to give you that sturdy protein that is needed to be able to have energy to do things, and or just instantly be full, right? Because you're in a situation where you're stuck indoors. There is no working in chores because you're indoors. You're maybe stuck in a room, a fallout room, stuck indoors because of smoke from fires, whatever it is, right? And you don't have the ability to cook possibly. Number 2 thing is jerky. Humongous fan of jerky. Now, people will tell you, well, one, you can make jerky, but people will tell you, you know, jerky won't keep forever. Yes, jerky won't keep forever, but you have to keep in mind that jerky is still a processed, dried meat, okay? People have been drying meat for centuries, curing meat with salts. If you pick up a jerky packet, a lot of them are going to be 2-3 years expiration from when you buy it. So it is a food that lasts a long time, that is super flavorful, that is super filling, is a protein, again, will have those salts that you need, that your body's still going to want, that pick me up. Especially, these are foods that, like, if you don't have a lot of other food too, like, these are things that are going to keep your body going because they have certain things in them, okay? Jerky, huge fan. Again, if you're in a tight space, you're indoors, you're stuck somewhere, you can't cook, it's a very, very quick way. You're on a hike, you're on a patrol, you're whatever, on the go, possibly. This is an easy way, and it won't take that much, right? Even if you had, let's say, no meat left, right? No freezers have been done for, you have no meat, you have no animals you're raising, but you had some jerky. Imagine being able to have the ability, maybe you guys make some rice and everybody gets a couple pieces of jerky to go with that rice. That's phenomenal, right? Throw in, let's say you still have chickens, or let's say you preserved eggs and you have eggs now and, you know, a couple pieces of jerky. When you're starving, that is going to be a huge pick-me-up to have rice and have some salty, you know, jerky to go with it. Not only that, but it's super, super filling, okay? So find a jerky. You know, you can make jerky, and I highly suggest learning how to do that. But it's also a food that I suggest stockpiling and keeping. Obviously, it will not last forever. You just got to keep rotating it through, okay? Next thing I have, number 3, is MREs. Now, this is the problem with MREs, a little bit of a problem or downfall, is that they're expensive, right? They are like $10 a piece, $11 a piece now. You know, inflation has not done them any justice. However, I'm still a firm believer that if you can afford them, getting a case of them here and there, even if you can get a case every 3 months, let's say, they are an amazing food source for having everything in a package, from the silverware to the salt, pepper, to, you know, the meal itself, to snacks, to breads, to crackers, to a drink, to everything, napkin, the fork, the heating element, huge, right? And the heating element does not take that much water, just a tiny little bit at the water at the bottom to get it going, to activate it. And then you put your stuff in. It's amazing. It's the military uses it for a reason, you guys. It's very good for the field, for the go. Again, if you were stuck in the house, if you were in a situation where you could not cook, and MRE is the business, okay? So try to think of that. Absolutely can be made. We've made homemade MREs here. You can make homemade MREs. The thing is everything has an expiration, right? So obviously, and MREs expire too, right? Trust and believe they expire. I've eaten old ones, and sometimes they're still okay, and then sometimes, baby, they are not okay, okay? Speaking of jerky, I've had some jerky out of some old MREs that was not the business, okay? But again, certain things in MREs are not kept the way they're supposed to, right? So it just didn't work out. But I digress, okay? So MREs, but you can make MREs. So we've made MREs. There's different ways to do that, different ways to keep the packaging down, the weight down, because they end up getting pretty bulky depending on what you put in there for your main meal. But I made MREs that actually were better than a real MRE, in the sense of the MREs we made had a breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, drinks for throughout the day, condiments. And so we really put some thought process into that. Maybe I'll try to find those videos and put them in the description box today, but you can make your own MREs, buy MREs. Huge fan of MREs. Number 4 thing I have is, let me see, my stuff is so little. Oh, freeze-dried. So freeze-dried, right? Huge fan. Again, can be pretty expensive depending on where you're going. It's definitely good to, find a channel that has the food stuff as an affiliate, so you can get a code and use that. And then additionally, making sure that you're getting the sales, the monthly sales, the whatever sales are going on, the discontinued items, be looking at that stuff, right? And get that stuff, so that you can make the most out of getting your freeze-dried stuff. But I'm a huge fan, baby, of a number 10 can of different stuff. As of late, I'm a huge fan of getting Pantry can and number 10 cans of like Thrive Foods and stuff. But I have Amazon food, I have Mountain House foods, I have all types of stuff. But I'm a huge fan of getting that stuff now, coming up, finding a meal, a menu, and then making a meal in a jar that is a freeze-dried meal. The meal is complete in there. So instead of having a ton of number 10 cans, and then yes, you can work from them, but the thing is, once you open a number 10 can, we all know you've got to keep that. Now, it's easy to keep that. You put it in other jars, smaller containers, take the air out, you can keep it, but it starts to go bad the minute you have a time limit the minute that you've opened it, right? A can, let's say, that will last 25 years, is going to be way decreased once you've opened it. But I've been condensing those down and actually putting the ingredients together, making a 1 jar menu or meal, and then keeping my freeze-dried stuff that way. Essentially, that jar can be opened, some water added to it, and ate just like that. But I'm a huge fan of freeze-dried foods. It doesn't matter if it's a little 2-people pack that you get that are meant for like hiking or whatever. Those are great. They have a little bit bigger packs for a family size, maybe 4 people. If you've ever gotten some of the 72-hour kits, I'm not a fan of them, but I am a fan. I've been gifted a few of them over the years, or they come in our battle boxes, and we'll open them and we'll try different things out of them. And oftentimes it's quite a bit of food, and it does feed us, our family, right? Even stuff that says it's for 2 people is enough to feed 3 people, for example. So I'm a huge fan of that, because freeze-dried stuff is cooked. One of the things on our wish list is to get a freeze dryer one day, to be able to freeze dry your own food and keep that food you know, for a rainy day, that's amazing. Now you can freeze dry like raw type material food, but you can make meals that are cooked and then freeze dry them. And so that essentially you add a little water and they're cooked, you can eat them, right? You could make I don't know, beef stew, for example, lay it on the tray, freeze dry it, put it away, vac seal it, all that stuff, and then later just reconstitute it, add a little bit of water to it, and it's already cooked, and you could just eat it instead of maybe even possibly warming it up. So just huge fan of freeze dried. I think that's a huge secret, a huge thing that needs to be thought out of how you can do that. And for a lot of us, that's just buying it right now because you don't have a freeze dryer. But again, if you can afford that, put into your budget to be able to do that later. Maybe that's when you're getting taxes back, but taxes are getting worse and worse where it's becoming, you don't get taxes back no more. But if you can finagle that, or you're getting a bonus from work, or you're getting some kind of payout, somebody paid you back money or whatever, maybe you can go ahead and move forward and get you a freeze dryer. Okay, well worth it. Number 5 thing I have is nuts. Now again, preppers might argue, you know, well, those don't last forever, they'll go rancid, but there's a ton of channels that will boast to differ. Not differ that they can last forever, but differ that if you keep them in the right way, you can keep nuts for a very, very long time, okay? If you preserve them and keep them, there's ways to keep them to where they will last the longest that they can possibly last. But you have to do those steps. You have to do that preservation. Otherwise, if you just keep nuts the way they are, you know, eventually they go rancid, the oil's in them, and they're no good, okay? But I'm a huge fan. This is a secret food because it is so filling. It does not take that many nuts at all to fill a little belly. They're delicious. You can get them in different flavors, different ways, added with different things. It is just a really good snack meal. And you say meal, but I'm really talking about hard times where you don't have that much food, and just having a little bit of like, okay, we're having this. Here's a handful of nuts, or hey, between these meals, because we're eating 2 meals now instead of 3. Here's a handful of nuts to tie you over, and nuts are very, very filling. Okay, so just something to think about. I understand that they can go rancid. I understand that they don't last forever, but it's an amazing, amazing food to get into your stockpile. Okay, it's a must. Number 6 thing I have is dried fruits. Dried fruits will last forever. You actually could get, I'm a big fan of dried fruits, but I'm even a bigger fan of the freeze-dried fruits, right? So I like freeze-dried fruits because they'll last, they're gonna last forever. But dried fruit, obviously too, is gonna last forever. All it's gonna do is just continue to get drier and drier, drier. So obviously it can get, the texture can change. So that's a little bit, that's a thing that could be heartbreaking if you have fruit. So there's ways I'm saying that if you're trying to keep fruit for forever, very long time, I probably wouldn't do all types of just straight fried dried fruits. I would probably lean towards freeze dried fruits, but do not, right? Because say, oh, well, I'm just not gonna have fruits because, I think that they're gonna go bad. Dried fruits, again, there's something about a dried fruit also, I don't know what it is, that's so much more filling than fresh fruit, right? You eat fresh fruit and of course you eat it, but there's something about I keep saying fried, a dried version that just seems heavier, seems more filling, feels like it's filled you up way quicker than eating a fresh version. Obviously, the goal and the name of the game is, self-sufficiency and being able to produce fruit and grow that for yourself. But you remember, you want to be stockpiling as well. Don't put all your eggs in the basket and be like, well, I'm just going to be somebody who stockpiles, or I'm just going to be somebody who homesteads and tries to live on the land and all that. But while we have it, get all of it, okay, and stockpile it. And so have both options. Number 7 is 2 things. So 7 and 8 together, peanut butter honey time, right? Not peanut butter jelly over here. I mean, we make jelly, water bathe that we've got jelly coming out of our butts over here, right? But I'm talking about peanut butter honey, right? Those 2 together, one, are delicious. Those 2 separate are delicious. They'll last a very long time. Peanut butter will last a very, very long time. Super delicious, super filling. That's why it's on this list. Super, super filling. Fills the bellies. Can eat it on bread, can eat it on crackers. Can eat it on anything, right? So many things that you can do with it. Eat a spoonful of it. It doesn't matter, right? Honey actually will last forever. And honey is one of those things that, one, it's super packed sugar, right? Sugar. And you're going to need to have certain things in your diet that are going to be possibly harder to get in your diet than they are right now. You know, unbelievable ways to get sugar in your diet now, salt and all that stuff. But later on, as we move forward, when we're eating more whole ingredients or other things, those things might be harder to get. And so having that, and it's a sweetener for when you're cooking, and it's just an amazing thing. It's a self-sufficiency item if you venture into bees and all that. Very, very good. Watched a Naked and Afraid episode the other day, and they found a hive, and they literally just put themselves in danger just to get to this honey. But they got so much honey. I mean, it was a group of them, and they got so much honey out of that. It was just amazing. And they were just coming alive with one little bite of honey. They were immediately went from just like starving to death to just awake, because honey, that sugar, when it hits your body, you need that, and it just gives you an adrenaline of like you made it, you're not gonna die, right? And it's gonna give that to you. And so obviously you can't just live on that alone, but it's a superfood. It's a super secret food that I think that every single person, every homestead, every prepper, doesn't matter what you call yourself, somebody who stockpiles, prepares, every family should understand the importance of honey and have honey in their stockpile. So peanut butter honey, I love it. I love peanut butter honey on like a saltine cracker. So good. Such a good grid down snack for kids, for the family. Very good. Very easy to make, obviously. But amazing. You know, peanut butter, all types of stuff. Putting it with chocolate and oats, and then amazing. You don't even have to cook. You got oats. You have some chocolate. You've got some peanut butter. Mix it together. Make some no-bake cookies. Now you need to be able to kind of melt that down. Obviously the chocolate, but amazing. No bake. You don't need an oven. Amazing little treat. All types of little balls that you can make with peanut butters and with adding different things in it. So do not sleep on that. Amazing peanut butter and honey. So that's my secret list. That's my foods. They're like some must-have foods that like we always will have. Super important. Very high in some of these in proteins, high in the ability of how long they last. Some of these are forever foods. Very high on the list of filling bellies. It's all about keeping people full on a little bit of food, right? If you're starving, imagine Naked and Afraid. Again, if you watch that show, people, them having, a spoonful of peanut butter just periodically, even once a week, would give them is amazing, right? The protein they would get from that, the filling that they would get from that. So it's very important, okay, that we are thinking about having things in our stockpile that play really important goals, and that would really help us in a messed up situation, right? And help us with our food stockpiles, and help us with if we don't have the ability to cook but want to keep bellies full and don't want to starve and want to have some sort of filling something without having, oh no, I can't cook this big pot of food, right? Or whatever the case may be. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this list. Let me know anything that you guys think is like your super secret foods. You absolutely have to have them in your pantries. Let me know. Let us know why. Let us know all that in the comments. And I will see you guys on tomorrow on the next video. Take care. Bye.